The crown of Gondor lies in the ash, and the sky above the black gate burns white with sorcery. Beneath banners torn by an unnatural wind, a king in all but name stands upon a corpse-strewn hill. In his bare hand, a simple band of gold gleams like a captured sun. All around him, men and orcs alike fall silent, as if the world itself holds its breath, and Aragorn, son of Arathorn, slowly raises the ring to his eye. If this darker path through Middle-earth pulls you in, tap like and join the fellowship by subscribing. Tell us in the comments what land you would stand for in this timeline, the Shire, Rohan, Gondor, or somewhere far stranger. The wind claws at his cloak, tugging like a living thing, and across the broken plain, the eye of Barad-dûr narrows. Aragorn can feel it. The gaze is a weight pressing against his breast, against the broken hilt hanging there. The ring is heavier still, far heavier than its size should allow, like a stone dredged from the bottom of an endless sea. It is warm, not the warmth of blood or of sun on steel, but of smoldering coals buried deep in ash. Around him, the captains of the West struggle to breathe. Gandalf feels the current in the air change, bitter and metallic on his tongue. Legolas' hand goes white on the grip of his bow. Gimli's knuckles bunch around his axe. Eomer of Rohan, face streaked with dust and blood, looks from the ring to Aragorn and then to the Black Tower in the east, as if some answer might be carved into that monstrous stone. Behind them, the men of Gondor and Rohan sway on their feet. Many think they are swaying from exhaustion or from fear. They do not yet understand that something else is moving them, a subtle shifting in the world, as though a great invisible tide has turned. Aragorn, Gandalf says, and the single word is raw with alarm. Cast it away. But the wizard's voice is strangely distant, as though heard through running water, because Aragorn is listening to something else. It is not a voice, not in any way he understands, yet it speaks in clarity no mortal tongue has ever matched. It shows him the white tree in full bloom, its flowers like stars against a night sky. It shows him Minas Tirith remade, not white, but argent, shining like a blade drawn against the dark. It shows him ships bearing the banners of Gondor up every river of Middle-earth, not as conquerors, but as guardians. It shows him Arwen, no longer fading, but radiant, safe, eternal. He sees all this in the instant the ring lies on his palm, as if time itself has paused to listen. Above, the eye flares. The Nazgûl scream their terror and their need, spiraling in a broken wheel overhead. Sauron stretches his will like a net, reaching, grasping, suddenly afraid. For the first time since Númenor fell, the Dark Lord tastes true risk. Aragorn remembers another vision. He remembers the paths of the dead, the cold of forgotten oaths in his lungs, the fear that tried to seize him and the single step forward that banished it. He remembers telling Éowyn that he cannot grant her love. He remembers Elrond placing the reforged sword in his hands, the shards of Narsil remade into Andúril, flame of the West. But there had been something else in Elrond's gaze that night. Tiredness, yes, and hope, but also the resignation of one who sends his last, best arrow into a darkness he does not believe can truly be pierced. The ring must be destroyed, Elrond had said at the council. There is no other way. Now, holding it, Aragorn is no longer certain that is true. What if, he wonders, in the space of one breath, there is another way? At the very foot of Mount Doom, Frodo Baggins is fallen. His hand is empty. The ring is gone. Samwise Gamgee staggers up the last black stair, lungs on fire, only to see Frodo on his knees, staring at his own bare fingers as if they have betrayed him. The world is shaking. Fire erupts from new cracks in the mountainside, bathing the sky in red. Yet somehow, impossibly, the Sammath Naur has gone quiet. There is no ring. There is only a faint impression in the dust, a circle where it lay and then did not. Sam does not understand how something so evil could simply vanish. Far away on the hill before the Black Gate, Aragorn closes his fingers. The gold disappears into his fist. Aragorn! Gandalf cries now, clear and sharp. Do not! Sauron strikes. It is not lightning to the eye, nor a visible bolt. It is a silent avalanche of will, plummeting from the eye of Barad-dûr like a mountain falling. Aragorn feels it smash into him. For a heartbeat, he is drowning. The world is gone, replaced by a roaring void. In that void, 9 shapes burn like coals in the wind, great kings bowed and broken, their crowns twisted into shadows, their swords turned inward. They reach for him. They welcome him. He tastes despair on their breath. He hears Sauron, not in words, but in promises. Yield, obey. You were always mine. Your line failed me once. Do not fail me again. Something ancient and proud rises in him, the part that is Arathorn's son and Isildur's heir and Elendil's distant reflection. It will not be commanded in that instant of clashing wills. Standing in the ruin before the Black Gate, the world shudders upon a knife's edge. Men of Gondor see their chosen king bow his head. Orcs see a great enemy falter. On the broken slopes of Orodruin, Sam reaches for Frodo's shoulder, feeling the air grow strangely still. Even here, the wind seems to hold its breath. "Mr. Frodo?" he whispers. Frodo looks up, eyes wide and hollow. "I failed," he says. "It's gone." Sam's hand tightens on his friend. "Then some other way's been found, sir. It has to. It has to." Frodo's eyes do not hold hope. He feels something like a thread snap inside him, stretched too far for too long. The absence of the ring is not freedom. It is a void, a wound. He feels its lack like a phantom limb, a pain without a body. Tears carve tracks through the ash on his face. "If someone else has it, Sam," Frodo whispers, "then we are lost." Before the Black Gate, Aragorn straightens. He does not kneel. He does not fall. In the chaos of his mind, something unexpected moves, not only pride, not only Númenórean steel, but also pity. He has seen the marks of Sauron's evil in the ruins of Osgiliath, in Denethor's madness, in the hollow eyes of Gollum. He has seen it in Boromir's desperate grasping at the ring. He knows this darkness. He will not belong to it. His hand tightens around the ring with such force that the metal should bend. Instead, it pulses very softly, so subtle only he can perceive it. The ring yields. It does not break. It learns. He does not push it away. He offers something else instead. Not surrender, but partnership. A deadly bargain born in a single, distressed heartbeat. You will have a king, Aragorn thinks, without words. And I will have the power to end him. It tastes his resolve. Far above, Sauron recoils as if burned. The 9 wraiths shriek, scattering in ragged panic. The eye flickers, momentarily uncertain. This is not how it went with Isildur. This is new. This is dangerous. The host of Mordor wavers, feeling their master's doubt like a chill. Gandalf staggers as the world reorders itself around a choice he could never have predicted. Aragorn lowers his fist. The ring remains unseen. He opens his eyes, and in that instant, Gandalf understands that some contest has been fought and not entirely lost. But the wizard also sees something else, something that grips his heart with cold fingers. There is a new light in Aragorn's gaze, a gleam that was not there before, too bright and too hard. What have you done? Gandalf breathes, the question meant for himself as much as for Aragorn. Aragorn looks east. The ring hums against his skin like a hidden engine. The air smells of sulfur and iron, of sweat and fear. Below the hill, countless orcs snarl and shift, uncertain. Above, the armies of men stand with drawn breath, weapons loose in hands gone numb. Between them, the space between doom and deliverance is no more than a few heartbeats wide. Aragorn raises Anduril. The shards of Narsil, reforged, catch the pallid light. Flames seem to crawl along the blade, not of fire but of memory, of Elendil's last stand, of Isildur's desperate cut, of a broken line carried through the shadows of the north. "Hear me!" Aragorn cries, and the voice that rings across the field is not his alone. Something amplifies it. It booms off the ruined stones of Mordor's hills. It crawls into the ears of orc and troll, of Haradrim and Easterling, of Rohirrim and Gondorian alike. It carries over the clash of steel, over the panting of dying men, until the entire battlefield listens. "Servants of Sauron," he calls. Your master's hand falters. A murmur ripples through the orc ranks, bewildered, fearful. The Nazgûl, still circling though frayed, emit a chorus of shrieks. They are torn, the will that binds them tugs in two directions. Between Sauron's eye and the man holding the ring, there is suddenly a second center of gravity. The West does not fall today, Aragorn shouts, "Not by your power, not by his." He points Anduril at the black tower in the distance, but by mine. The last word hangs. The ring pulses again in assent. To the men of the West, the declaration is fierce defiance. To the soldiers of Mordor, it is blasphemy. To Sauron, it is a wound. On the slopes of Mount Doom, Frodo hears those words as if whispered directly into his mind. By mine. He flinches, hand going to his breast as if some invisible hand has pressed there. He tastes metal. The world tilts under him. "Frodo?" Sam asks. Frodo does not answer. He is staring east, though the rock of the mountain blocks his sight. His breathing quickens, shallow and frightened. For a moment, his eyes seem not entirely his own. "Someone has taken it," Frodo whispers. "Someone strong. Oh, Sam." Sam looks up at the churning sky, tears leaking from the corners of his eyes, a hobbit's heart breaking under a burden he cannot see. A tremor runs through the mountain. Deep below, in the fiery heart of Orodruin, a secret path of fate that led from Imladris to this very edge shivers and curls like a burned leaf. Destiny, which once pointed like an arrow toward the ring's unmaking, stutters, blurs, and then splinters into new and uncharted lines. The ring is not here to die. It has found another story. On the field, Sauron grasps at his scattered power. At his silent fury, drums thunder upon the plain. Giant trolls bellow and charge, dragging siege towers behind them, though there is no longer a need for walls to break. Orc captains whip their soldiers into a tidal surge. If he cannot seize the ring through willing surrender, he will drown its bearer in blood. Aragorn! Legolas cries, seeing the mass of darkness surge toward the hill. "Say the word," Gimli growls, planting his boots. Gandalf's staff slams into the ground. "Form ranks," he thunders, "swords and spears." To Aragorn, son of Arathorn, to the king, they know doom when they see it. They saw it when they rode to this hopeless battle. They see it now in the black flood racing toward them, in the trolls that tower over even the tallest man, in the Nazgûl shrieking above. But something else stands there also, blue-white in the dim sky. The wizard and the ragged figure beside him, the one with the broken sword now remade. The king, they think. The thought is a prayer and a plea. The ring hears that too. As the orcs crash upon the hill like a wave upon stone, the air thickens. Aragorn moves, and where he steps, the world seems to sharpen. Time slows and stretches in jagged flashes. The first orc to reach him swings a jagged blade, its edge black with old blood. Aragorn's arm rises, Anduril is a streak of light. The orc's sword shatters. The ring's weight settles into his bones, guiding, predicting, whispering not with words but with tiny, precise urgings, here, now, left, duck, thrust. He has been a warrior all his life. Now, in the space of a breath, he understands what it means to be something more. His enemies are suddenly clumsy, their intentions as obvious as if they were shouted. He perceives the faint trembling of a troll's knee before it charges, the brief narrowing of a Haradrim's eyes before he looses an arrow. He sees not just where they are, but where they will be. In his fist, the ring approves. Gandalf feels the shift like a sudden gust of hot wind. He fights near Aragorn, staff and sword flashing, but his gaze keeps darting to the man at his side. There is a terrible beauty in Aragorn's movements now, inhumanly fluid, as if the music of battle had at last found a perfect dancer. Each stroke is economical and devastating. Each decision is too quick, too certain. Strider! Gimli bellows, hewing through an orc that dared approach the ring-bearer. Leave some for the rest of us. But even in his jest, there is strain, because the hill is a storm. Men of Gondor fall. Riders of Rohan vanish beneath black shapes. Sweat and blood run together in the dirt. The cries of the wounded rise, thin and terrified above the roar of war, yet they do not break. Around Aragorn, a pocket of impossible defiance forms. Men who would have turned and run instead press forward, drawn by something they cannot name. They feel stronger, bolder, less afraid of pain, less mindful of wounds. The ring is generous with courage, when courage serves its need. Above, one of the Nazgul dives. Its mount is a vast leathery nightmare, yellow teeth snapping claws like scythes. The wraith upon its back leans forward, a black crown, empty of face, sword burning with sickly flame. It is the Witch King of Angmar. He has known this line before. He remembers the last king of Gondor he slew, broken before the gates of his own city. He remembers Prince Erner screaming as the darkness swallowed him. He remembers Numenor's fall in distant ages and his own promises to a god-king drowned by pride. This one, though, is different. He is crowned in no hall yet, but the crown sits upon him all the same, a phantom diadem of choice and doom. The Witch King howls a challenge. He will take the ring off this man's corpse. He drives his beast down in a scything arc, right at Aragorn. Gandalf turns, staff blazing, but something invisible catches his arm, a subtle drag, not physical, but of competing authorities. The wizard's power is no longer the only great force upon this field. Another will has risen, and the very air hesitates, unsure whom to heed. For a heartbeat, the Nazgul has a clear path. Aragorn lifts his face to the rushing shadow. The ring burns in his hand. Eager, a shiver runs up his arm, into his shoulder, into his heart. Power presses against him, an ocean waiting to be unleashed. All he need do is open the door. Strike him, the ring urges, not with steel, with me. Aragorn's eyes narrow. He remembers another prophecy, half heard, no living man may hinder me. The Witch King's arrogance, Eowyn's defiance. He knows dimly that somewhere fate had prepared another answer, but fate has been bent. He makes a different choice. He does not call out. He does not invoke old words. He simply reaches with the hand that wears the ring. He has not put it on, not yet. It lies hidden within his clenched fist, skin against gold, but intent is enough. Unseen, A tendril of will lashes out from that clenched hand, guided by Númenórean pride and a burning, newly awakened instinct. It meets the darkness that surrounds the Witch King in midair. The collision is invisible. Its effects are not. The fell beast convulses. Its scream shreds the clouds. A sound of sudden primal terror, fireless flame, bursts around its form, an aura of darkness that flakes away like burning paper. The wraith atop it spasms, sword jerking. For the first time in uncounted lives, the Witch King feels something approaching fear, not of death. That he has long transcended, of replacement. This is not a mortal pricking his armor with a blade, nor an elven spell of starlight. This is his own kind of power, wielded by living flesh, a presence that says, quietly, inexorably, you are no longer needed. Fall, Aragorn whispers, barely audible above the din. The ring repeats the word in a language of command. Older than the sun, the Witch King's mount crashes into the ground, legs folding at impossible angles. The wraith is flung from its back like smoke torn by a gale. It hits the earth, black robes scattering, crown askew. Men around them stagger from the shockwave. Eowyn and Merry, in this turning of events, are not here. Their fate has shifted with the path of the ring. There is no hidden rider of Rohan to deliver the final stroke, no small hand to strike unseen. There is only Aragorn. He stands over the fallen wraith, Andúril poised. The Witch King rises without moving, shadows knitting, crown realigning above a void deeper than night. He glares at Aragorn with eyes that are not there. "You dare!" the wraith hisses, a voice like old iron dragged over stone. It is not heard with ears, but claws itself into the mind. "I am Isildur's heir," Aragorn says, "and I correct his error." He drives Andúril down. The blade meets no flesh. It meets resistance all the same. There is a shriek that is more feeling than sound, a horrible scraping, as if a door long barred is forced half open. The Witch King's form splits, robes tearing, crown tilting. Blackness pours from the wound like smoke poured underwater. Not death. Dismissal. Something binds him, preventing complete unmaking, but his grip upon the world is torn. He explodes into a cyclone of shadow, howling, drawn unwillingly eastward, as if a new hand has seized his leash and jerked it short. He is gone, not vanquished, reassigned. Gandalf staggers, breathing hard, staff dimming as the aftershock of that clash races through his ancient bones. Aragorn stands above the scorched mark where the wraith fell, chest heaving. His knuckles are white around the ring. The men of the West stare. They see the Witch King fall before their eyes. They see the Nazgûl scatter, their perfect circle broken. They see their lord of the Nazgûl stripped from the sky by a man's will. Their fear cracks like ice in spring. Battle cries rise, wild and incredulous. "To the king!" Some shout, "Aragorn! Elisar!" Cry others, naming him with the elven word that has followed him like a hidden promise, Elfstone. In the towers of Barad-dûr, Sauron seethes. The battlefield roils. Aragorn fights on. With each stroke, the ring whispers more. With each decision, he lets it guide. Its presence grows easier to bear, easier to trust. It does not ask him to slaughter his allies or to kneel to the Dark Lord. That would be foolish. It has learned. It offers only what he already wants, moved a little faster, made a little larger, protect them, save them, rule them, so that no other darkness shall. The hill is awash in blood and sweat. At last, the tide begins to turn, not by miracle, not by eagles or earthquakes or collapsing towers, by exhaustion, by attrition, by the shuddering uncertainty in the hearts of orcs, whose lord's attention is no longer solely upon them. A fissure opens in Mordor's flank. Some orcs run. They have never done this before, not like this, not in the face of their master's unbroken will. But that will is divided, its focus fractured between an ancient fortress and a single man upon a bloody hill. Aragorn stands victorious, though victory here is a tattered thing. Around him lie the bodies of many he came with, Halbarad of the Dunedain, banners still clutched in cold fingers, countless Rohirrim and Gondorians. The ground drinks their blood in equal measure. The air is thick with the copper tang of it, and with the charred stench of troll flesh burning where Gandalf's light became flame. The black gate stands beyond it. The plains of Mordor remain full of armies, though reeling. Aragorn stares east. In his palm, the ring lies quiet, as if it too contemplates. "We live," Gimli rasps, leaning on his axe. "I did not think to see that." "Look," Legolas says softly, "they all turn, far away, so far that in the old world no man's eye could have seen it. But now Aragorn's sight is keener than any elf's. A spire of darkness trembles. Barad-dûr shudders. Sauron feels the ring's new allegiance like an infection. He cannot tear it from Aragorn's grasp by force of will alone. He has tried. He has failed. His eye burns with a fury that blackens the clouds around it, but some part of him, forged in the older fires of Morgoth's wars, understands a cruel truth. If he attacks too fully, he may feed the very power that defies him. He must adjust. He must deceive. He must survive. Gandalf steps close to Aragorn, face grim. "The ring cannot be kept," the wizard says. "You have seen what it does to the mighty. You feel it now." "Yes," Aragorn answers. "There is no point in lies." Gandalf searches his face. "They will follow you," he says. "These men, the people of Gondor, of Rohan, the scattered Dunedain, they will make you king for this day alone." "Do you mean to lead them while wearing that?" Aragorn looks down at his hand. The gold gleams on his palm, innocent as sunlight on water. He imagines throwing it away. For one insane second, it seems possible. He could cast it into the black dust, let it vanish among the thousands of footprints and bloodstains. But he knows it would not be destroyed. It would wait. It would find some other hand, some other mind less burdened by scruples and more by wounds. He has seen Denethor's madness. Boromir's. Can he trust the world with a ring lost but not broken? Yet the other path is worse. The ring says nothing. It does not need to. "It will corrupt you," Gandalf says, voice low. "It may already have begun." Aragorn closes his fingers. "I feel its will," he says. "I do not accept its command. You think that will last?" "No," Aragorn answers, and this honesty hurts him more than any wound. "Not forever." Gimli shifts uncomfortably, glancing between them. Legolas' face is unreadable, though his jaw is tight. "Then we destroy it," Gandalf insists. "There is yet time. Frodo may still be in Mordor. The path is open. Give it to me. Or let me go with you now to Mount Doom." Aragorn's eyes flicker. Past Gandalf's shoulder, he sees the men who survived, dirty, exhausted, looking to him with a mixture of awe and desperate hope. Some weep openly. Some still shout his name. In every one of them he sees a question. What now? The black gate looms. Beyond it, a land poisoned for an age. "If I fall," Aragorn says slowly, "if I take it into that fire and fail, who will hold the line at the borders of Mordor? Who will lead them? You?" Gandalf's eyes blaze. "I have led more than you can know." "As have I," Aragorn answers. "In smaller ways, perhaps, in the shadows. But I know men, Mithrandir. I know their hearts. They will not follow a wizard. They will follow a king." "What king?" Gandalf demands. "Rules with that in his hand, the one who stands between them and Sauron." Aragorn says, "There is no anger in it, only grim logic." Gandalf stares at him. Fear trickles into the wizard's heart. Not of Sauron, he has faced that before. Not of the ring alone, but of this, a man he loves as a son, standing upon a precipice, explaining damnation as if it were duty. On the flanks of Orodruin, Sam and Frodo watch the sky. It does not break. There is no collapse of towers, no thunder of a Dark Lord falling. The earth's tremors ease instead of accelerating. Baradur's brief shudder stills. Sam's shoulders sag. "So that's that then," he whispers. Frodo's eyes are far away. He feels it. A faint tug, distant and terrible, on the raw place where the ring once was. It is like a ghost pain, awful and seductive. He knows it is not calling to him. He is no longer worthy, but he can sense its movement, the way a scar prickles at the change of weather. "It isn't gone," Frodo murmurs. "It's chosen." Sam swallows. "Chosen who, Mr. Frodo?" Frodo closes his eyes. Aragorn. The name tastes like both hope and ash. They do not know how he knows. But Sam has walked every step beside him. He has seen Frodo's mind stretched on the ring's rack. If anyone can sense its new bearer, it is the hobbit who carried it so far. Then we've traded one Dark Lord for another, Sam says softly, bitterness creeping in like frost. Frodo flinches. "No," he says, as if he must believe it. "No, Strider he's good, he's strong." Sam looks at his friend's ravaged face and says nothing. They huddle under a rock as Mordor reorients to a different war. In the days that follow, the field before the Black Gate becomes a camp instead of a grave. The wounded are tended. The dead are burned or buried under cairns of stone when stone can be found. The air smells of smoke, wet wool, infection, and the sharp tang of the herbs the healers use. Aragorn walks among the rows of the dying. He does as he has always done. Kneels, speaks gently, binds wounds. He lays hands upon fevered brows and murmurs comforts in Sindarin and Western. People reach for him, their fingers clutching at his cloak, their eyes following him with animal desperation. He feels the ring's heat with each touch. He could save more, it whispers. He knows some of these men will die. Infection, unseen and relentless, will creep under their bandages. Fevers will burn away what strength they have left. He can mix Athelas into water. He can call them back with his voice, as Elrond taught him, but not all, never all, unless just a little, the ring suggests. You need not conquer to heal. You need not enslave to spare. You have seen what is possible. Reach. He resists. For 2 days he resists. On the third, a boy from Losarnach lies before him, barely of age, his abdomen torn by an orc spear. The healers have done what they can. It is not enough. The boy's breath rattles. His eyes fix on Aragorn with a wild fear. "Will it hurt?" he croaks. Aragorn's chest tightens. "Yes," he says honestly, "but you are not alone." The boy swallows with difficulty. My mother, will she know I died well?" "Yes," Aragorn murmurs, throat thick. He could lie. He does not. He has seen enough death to know that what little truth he can give is worth more than any false comfort. The boy's fingers clutch at him. I don't want to go." Aragorn closes his eyes. He remembers his own father's body, cold and still. He remembers the hollow ache of loss. He imagines this boy's mother waiting on a farmstead, hearing the news any way it comes. He imagines her grief layered atop all the others this war has already carved into the land. Is this, he wonders, the price we always pay? The ring moves. He does not decide. Not exactly. Some hidden threshold in him buckles under the weight of all those he cannot save. His resistance is not shattered by temptation of dominion or of glory. It is pried open by pity. His hand, of its own accord, shifts, The ring brushes the boy's skin. There is a soft, inaudible click, like a lock turning. Warmth floods the boy's broken body. His back arches, a soundless cry on his lips. For a moment, his veins burn with gold. Not visible to mortal eyes, but Aragorn sees it. He sees the blood vessels knit. He sees torn flesh draw together, tissue weaving like cloth, mended by an unseen hand. He hears the boy's faltering. Heartbeat steady, then it is done. The boy gasps. He looks around, eyes wild but clear. The wound is gone. He touches his belly, finds smooth skin where gaping horror once lay. He stammers. My lord. Aragorn sways. He feels suddenly hollowed, not weak exactly, but as if some measure of himself has been poured out. The ring is cool now, sated, humming with quiet satisfaction. You are needed, Aragorn manages, his voice unsteady. Gondor needs you. Live. The boy begins to weep. He clutches at Aragorn's hand, kisses it. My king, he sobs. My king. He says it without knowing what the word truly means. Nearby, a healer stares, eyes wide, basin slipping from her fingers. What did you do? She whispers, amazed and afraid. Aragorn cannot answer, because in that act, a line has been crossed. He has used the ring's power not to dominate an enemy, not to strike down a great evil, but to cheat death for one ordinary soul. The morality of it is not simple. Compassion drove him, but so did the belief that he knows better than the world's laws. It is begun, Gandalf murmurs, watching from a distance. His shoulders sag. He had hoped, vainly perhaps, that Aragorn would refrain from using it thus, that the man's innate humility would hold. But compassion can be as dangerous as pride. When wielded with great power, news of the miracle spreads like fire through dry grass. By nightfall, men are whispering of the king's hands. In the tales of Gondor, it was always said that the hands of the king are the hands of a healer. Now, with the ring upon him, that old proverb becomes painfully literal. They line up outside Aragorn's tent. Mothers bring sons, men bring comrades. Some bring their own mangled limbs, eyes haunted with hope and dread. Aragorn heals more. Each time, the ring's hold sinks deeper. He begins to feel their lives like cords in his mind, each one tugged back from the brink by his intervention. It is intoxicating in its own terrible way, not the thrill of victory, but the relief of disaster averted, multiplied 100-fold. How can he stop when he has seen that he can save them? Gandalf confronts him that third night, beneath the hard, cold sky. Stars burn above Mordor, unnaturally bright against the darkness of the land. A chill wind stirs the ashes. Aragorn stands alone on a small rise, cloak wrapped tight, the ring on a chain now around his neck, hidden against his skin when not on his hand. He touches it through the cloth unconsciously, as one might touch a scar. You are using it, Gandalf says without preamble. Aragorn does not pretend misunderstanding. Yes, how many? Enough. How many, Aragorn? Gandalf presses, stepping closer. How many lives have you purchased with that gold? Aragorn turns. In the dim starlight, his face is gaunt. Shadows have gathered under his eyes, but there is a new steadiness in them, a sense of someone who has accepted the cost of what he does and will not be easily turned aside. 33, he says. Since the boy, Gandalf closes his eyes briefly. And how many? Times did you feel it linger? Aragorn hesitates. Twice, he admits. Once, when the wound was too far gone, the body could not bear the mending. The man died anyway. Once, when He stops. When you what? Gandalf demands. Aragorn's jaw works. When I considered healing an enemy, he says, the confession tasting bitter. An injured Haradrim. He was young. I thought, if I could show mercy, perhaps he would carry that back to his people, but I felt it then. The ring. It was. Eager. Not for mercy, but for the leverage that mercy would buy. I did not do it. Gandalf studies him. You see its thoughts. I feel its inclinations, Aragorn corrects. Its vectors. It does not command, it suggests. It is clever, Mithrandir. It learned from the fall of others. It does not always push in straight lines. And you think yourself cleverer still? Gandalf asks quietly. Aragorn's anger flickers, brief. I think myself responsible, he snaps. While we argue, Sauron regathers his strength. The armies of Mordor still stand. The people of Gondor wait in fear. Should I let 33 die today to preserve the purity of a plan that has already failed? Gandalf's eyes flare. The plan did not fail. It was diverted by me, Aragorn says. He lifts his chin. By my choice, he adds, and there is a steel in the words that does not belong to the ring alone. Gandalf's hand tightens on his staff. You mean to keep it, the wizard says. After all this, after we return to Gondor, if we can, you will sit upon the throne of your fathers with it in your hand. Is that your intention? Aragorn looks up at the mountains that encircle Mordor, black against the stars. Beyond them, he imagines Minas Tirith, white walls scarred by war, people huddled in the shadow of a steward's madness, and a would-be king's return. He sees Arwen, pale and fading in some glade of Lorien or Imladris, her choice tethered to his. I will keep it, Aragorn says slowly, until Sauron is undone. Not broken, perhaps. That may be beyond me, but checked, contained, bound. And then Gandalf presses Aragorn's silence as answer enough. In the days that follow, the host of the West marches not homeward, but inward. Led by Aragorn, they enter Mordor. It is a bitter sight. The land is a wound on the face of the world, all ash and slag and twisted rock. Fumes seep from cracks in the ground. Pools of black, oily water reflect a sky the color of bruised flesh. No birds fly here, no green thing grows. Men cough, eyes watering from the stench of sulfur. They look to Aragorn. With each step he takes into this poisoned country, the ring hums more strongly. It is at home here, in the shadow of the volcano that birthed it. Power roils under the crust, waiting to be shaped. Gandalf walks at his side. I do not counsel this, he says quietly, for Aragorn's ears alone, bringing them in. Mordor is not a place for armies. It is a place for endings. These men will not accept an ending that leaves Sauron alive, Aragorn replies, nor will I. If we turn back now, he will rebuild. Slower, perhaps subtler, but he will. And then our children, or their children, will march another day to die before the Black Gate. Gandalf's gaze flicks eastward to the dark bulk of Barad-dûr. You mean to take the war to his doorstep, he says. With the ring, yes. It is his home ground. It is mine now, Aragorn says. He does not mean Mordor soil. He means the battlefield of will. Far to the west, in Minas Tirith, Faramir sits in the steward's chair and dreams of fire. Denethor is dead. The pyre's smoke has long since blown away, but the shadow of it clings to the hall of the kings. The people whisper of madness and despair, of a father consumed by visions of doom. They whisper of the ranger who came, of the healing hands that drew Faramir back from fever's edge. They whisper of a king who now walks in Mordor. Faramir hears all this and listens inwardly as well. He has seen the ring, if only from a distance. On the bank of the Anduin in Aemon Arnon, he saw the way Frodo's hand drifted to his breast, the weight under his shirt. He felt the air around the hobbit thicken, his own desire rise and be quelled by long discipline. Now, ruling a wounded city in another's name, he feels a different temptation, not of the ring itself, but of trust in the man who bears it. The king will return, people say, and what king will that be? Faramir wonders in the quiet of his chamber, gazing out at the ruin of the Pelennor. He is not alone in his questioning. In the golden hall of Meduseld, Eomer sits upon the throne of Rohan, crown newly set upon his head in the shadow of Theoden's body. The songs of his people are quieter now, the mead cups raised less high. He remembers standing on that hill, watching Aragorn hold the ring. He remembers the Witch King's fall. He remembers fear of Mordor, yes, but also of something like it, wearing a familiar face. He drinks less. He rides the fields more, feeling the grass of the Riddermark beneath his boots, smelling the honest scents of horse and sweat and rain. He wants no shadow to touch this land. If Gondor falls under a new darkness, will Rohan stand apart, or will they ride once more in defense of a southern lord gone wrong? His sister, Eowyn, watches him, haunted by ghosts of a destiny that never came. She had yearned to face the Witch King, to prove that no living man could hinder him, and that she, Shield Maiden, was not hindered by that doom. But when the muster had been called, Aragorn's path had pulled things askew. She had remained behind, tending the wounded Merry had ridden, but events conspired to separate him from the fell beast's path. Her great moment never arrived. She wonders, in the dark watches of the night, if some hand moved that chance away from her, reserving that victory for another. For a king with a ring, Arwen Undomiel sits in the fading light of Lorien. The Malorn's leaves are turning from gold to a dull, pale hue, their once bright song growing faint. The world of the Eldar is slipping, dripping away like water from cupped hands. She feels it intensely. Her fate is bound to Aragorn's choice. Long have they spoken of it under the eaves of Rivendell, in the silent glades of this forest. Once she accepted the sadness of mortality for the sake of the love they shared and the world he might help renew. Now she feels another presence at the edge of her thoughts, a faint, seductive whisper that was never there before. It promises a third path. You need not leave, it implies, without truly speaking. You need not fade. He will have power enough to cradle your life in his hand and hold it fast. The gift of men need not be yours if he denies it. She shivers. Galadriel finds her thus. The Lady of the Golden Wood has always walked half in this world and half out of it. Her eyes see the present, but they also see ripples of might-have-beens and could-yet-be's. She has felt the rings turning from afar. You feel it, Arwen whispers. It is not a question. Yes, Galadriel says. Her voice is soft and very tired. He has taken the road Isildur would not. A third way, neither surrender nor destruction. A road for men, Arwen says bitterly, straight, brief, and full of pride. Galadriel's hand, cool and light, touches her sleeve. It is not pride alone that drives him, the lady says. He loves, he grieves, he fears. The ring does not always fasten upon our worst traits. Sometimes it takes what is best and magnifies it until it devours us entire. Arwen bows her head. What will become of him? She asks. Galadriel's gaze drifts east, far beyond the misty mountains. I saw in the mirror, she says, once long ago, a choice like this. A king with a ring, and a land made safe, at a cost. I did not know then whose face it would be. Now I do. She closes her eyes. There are still branches to this river, she murmurs. Some tiny hope, but most of what I see ends thus. The white tree blooming in a city that feels no wind. A king who never dies while the world grows old around him. Gondor become a second Mordor, not of open tyranny, but of perfect, smothering safety. Arwen's breath catches. Then we are lost, she says. Not yet, Galadriel answers. Frodo still lives, and there are others whose part is not yet played. On the borders of Mordor, Gollum crawls from a crevice and sniffs the tainted air. He is thinner than ever, skin gray and stretched tight over bone. His eyes are vast in his wasted face, pupils dilated. He has known hunger, thirst, fear, but most of all, he has known loss. The precious is gone, not destroyed, no. He would know if it were unmade. There would be a final scream in the bones of the world, a silence to follow that nothing could fill. Instead, there is distance. He can feel it, faint and maddening. The ring is like a star glimpsed through storm clouds, not visible but felt by the faintest prickle on the back of his mind. It moves, it circles, it denies him. He hisses, "They took it from us." Yes, they did. Thief, Baggins, and his tall friends. But now it is with another thief. His lips curl. He has seen Aragorn before, in passing, in corners of Gollum's long broken trail. The ranger in the north, the eyes that watched him from the shadows. He did not understand then how that face would haunt him. Now he understands nothing except that someone else holds what is his. "We finds him," Gollum mutters. "We finds him precious, and we takes it back. The man thinks he can have it? No, it is ours. It was always ours." He slinks eastward, following a thread only he can feel. Aragorn's march into Mordor halts at the foot of a rise. Before them, like a mountain sprouting from another mountain, rises Barad-dûr. No mortal words can fully contain its enormity. It is less a tower than a wound driven into the sky. Black stone fused with iron, windows like eye sockets without eyes. Its ramparts bristle with spikes and crenellations. Its gates are taller than any hall in Minas Tirith. The eye has withdrawn from its upper chamber. No great lidless flame stares down at them. The tower appears, in some strange way, asleep. "Where is he?" Gimli mutters, hefting his axe uneasily. Watchful Legolas replies, but his voice lacks conviction. Sauron waits. The armies of Mordor mass before the tower in a ragged half-ring. Orcs of many breeds, Easterlings in scaled armor, Southrons with curved blades. They are leaderless in some sense. Their captains bicker, their fear of their unseen master at war with the awe they feel for the man who toppled the Witch King. Aragorn stands at the head of the host of the West. He holds no banner, he needs none. His cloak is torn, his hair is matted with sweat and dust. There is blood on his face that is not all his own. The ring lies against his chest, hidden but present, its circle pressing a faint bruise into his skin. He lifts Anduril. The two armies stare at one another across a no-man's land of cracked stone and ancient ash. "Parley?" Gimli mutters. "With what?" "With him," Aragorn says. He steps forward alone. Gandalf reaches out, then stills his hand. "Do not go too near," the wizard says hoarsely. "Do not listen to him." Aragorn nods. He does not intend to listen. He climbs a low rise until he can see the battlefield from end to end, his own ragged host on one side, the dark masses of Mordor on the other. Barad-dûr looming behind. The wind tugs at his cloak. The air smells of brimstone and sweat. He speaks without shouting, yet his voice carries. "Sauron of Mordor," Aragorn calls, "Anatar, Lord of Gifts, deceiver of men and elves. Come forth." There is a long, deadly silence. Then the gate of Barad-dûr opens, not fully, just a crack, a line of darkness becoming deeper darkness. From that slit, a voice flows. It is not a roar, not the thunder some might expect. It is a whisper that manages somehow to be heard by every soul on the field. You presume, little king, it is everywhere and nowhere inside the ear and behind the eye. Aragorn's teeth clench. I am not yet a king, he says, but I will be, with or without your leave. A soft chuckle. Isildur's heir, the voice says. How he would laugh to see his weakness in full bloom. He took the ring and ran. You take the ring and march upon my gate. Boldness has ever been your line's vice. Men shift uneasily. They cannot see who speaks. There is no giant armored figure on the battlements, no cloaked wraith on a balcony. The very stone of the tower seems to mouth the words, "You have failed," Sauron continues. "The ring is not yours, it is mine. You are a momentary hand, a transient vessel, a cup through which an older wine passes." Aragorn's hand tightens on the hilt of Andúril. "Perhaps," he says, "but the cup can be turned. I do not serve you." Another laugh. "Every use of it feeds me," Sauron croons. "Every healing, every strike, every heartbeat extended. You temper the steel of your kingdom in my forge. When you sit upon your pretty white throne, remember whose power raised the walls around you. Remember whose ring gleams upon your finger. You cannot wield it without serving the purpose for which it was made, and that purpose is your domination," Aragorn retorts. Sauron's voice purrs. "The dominion is incidental," he says. "The purpose is order. There is a ripple through the men of the West. Order. The word lands differently than they expect. It does not sound like chaos and flame. It sounds disquietingly like safety. The world is noise," Sauron says, his voice weaving through their ranks like smoke. Men and elves and dwarves pulling in different directions. Wars, plagues, famines. Children starving because their lords are weak or foolish. Kingdoms falling because their kings fear to act. I would end that. I would fix the wheel of the world in place. No more surprises, no more waste. By crushing all will beneath your own, Gandalf mutters, staff blazing faintly as if in defiance. "That is one way to phrase it," Sauron replies smoothly. Another, by alleviating fear. When you know your place in the design, there is peace. Tell me, Aragorn, son of Arathorn, is that not what you want for your people? Peace? A world where no steward burns his son alive in madness? Where no Boromir dies for a ring of gold? Aragorn flinches, the name stabs. Memories rush. Boromir's hand on his shoulder, in Lorien, his confession of weakness, his last stand at Amon Hen, fighting off a horde to protect two little hobbits. His death in Aragorn's arms. If he had lived, Sauron whispers intimately, he would have made the same bargain, if given your chance. "You did not know him," Aragorn snarls. "I know men," Sauron says. "I was there when your kind first awoke under the stars. I watched you flee the shadow of my master and cling to scraps of land, bleeding and singing and dying for causes you barely understood. Always you seek safety. Always you will trade freedom for the illusion of control." He pauses. "You are different only in that you are honest," he says almost approvingly. "You do not seek the ring for yourself. You seek it for them." Aragorn glances back. Faces meet his, tired, fearful, hopeful. They have followed him into the very heart of nightmare. They trust him with a depth that makes his chest ache. "If you truly wish to save them," Sauron says softly, "come into my house. Wear that which you bear upon your finger and ascend my stairs. We will speak not as master and servant, but as colleagues." Gandalf's staff explodes with light. "Do not listen," he shouts, voice ringing. "He lies. He always lies." Sauron's chuckle slides through the wizard's protest. "Of course I lie," he says lightly. but only when the truth proves insufficient. Aragorn's heart pounds. The ring is a weight and a promise at his breast. He can feel the coiled potential in it, like a bridge half built between himself and the furnace of power that is Barad-dûr. If he dons it, that bridge will be completed. He will stand in two places at once, a man of flesh and a presence in Sauron's dark mind. He could be consumed. He could also strike a blow no mortal has ever struck. Aragorn looks from the tower to Gandalf. Gandalf's eyes are pleading. Remember who you are, the wizard says. You are not the ring. You are not his shadow. Aragorn looks past them all. He sees, faint as a dream, the white tree blooming in the courts of the fountain. He sees children playing under its branches. He sees Arwen walking there, her hair silver in the starlight, her laughter no longer edged with sorrow. He sees a Gondor where no child goes hungry, because the harvest failed, where no lord bleeds his people for personal war, where the fear of Mordor is a distant story. He sees all this, and beneath it, something else, a web, invisible threads running from every heart to his, from his to the ring, from the ring to Sauron's older forge, a world without surprise, yes, but also without true choice. Is that so terrible? The ring murmurs. His hand rises. He can feel every gaze on him. The men of the West, the armies of Mordor, Gandalf, Legolas, Gimli, Éomer, Faramir, far away, Arwen, Galadriel, Frodo on a blasted slope, clutching Sam's hand, Gollum crawling through a crevice. The whole world seems to lean in. Aragorn closes his eyes. He slips the ring onto his finger. The world vanishes. It does not go dark. It goes thin. He sees the field, but through a gauze of gray. Men are pale smudges of light. Orcs are darker stains, flickering greed and fear. The sky above is not sky, but a lid of iron, etched with sigils of old power. Barad-dûr blazes. It is a column of will, a wound driven into the fabric of the unseen world. At its apex, where once the eye burned, something else now writhes, a knot of consciousness, vast and ancient. It senses him. In this place, Sauron has shape, not the 8-foot-tall armored monster of men's imaginations, but something less and more, a towering figure of shadow and ember, edges flickering, form not fully fixed. A crown of jagged iron floats above a faceless head. Around him swirl 9 dimmer lights, bound to him by chains of fear and habit. The Witch King among them smolders, wound where Aragorn struck, still seeping darkness. Welcome, Sauron says. His voice here is not a whisper. It is a vibration in the very floor of this place, a seismic thrum in walls made of will. Aragorn stands before him, his own form a pillar of white gray, shot through with streaks of gold, where the ring's presence intertwines with his own soul. He understands in a flash how easily he could be unraveled. He feels the weight of Sauron's age, thousands of years of crafted malice, of experiments cruel and cold. He feels the reach of that mind, touching every orc, every troll, every cursed thing born of his hand. But he is not nothing. He carries with him the long endurance of men, the stubbornness of the Dunedain, the memory of Gil-galad and Elendil standing side by side, the songs of Imladris and the silent strength of the North's empty wastes. He carries love for Arwen, for his friends, for the nameless farmers and fishers whose lives hang upon this contest. He does not kneel. You would have me as an equal, Aragorn says. I would have you as a partner, Sauron replies, eyes like coals studying him. For a time, until you see the wisdom of yielding certain decisions to my experience. Partners do not devour each other, Aragorn says. Sauron's laugh is bright as molten metal. Do you think yourself my match? He asks, amused. You, a brief flicker of flesh? Aragorn thinks of Frodo. He thinks of a small hobbit, alone in a black land, bearing this same ring without towers of will to support him. He thinks of Gandalf, refusing it, of Galadriel, passing the test, of Faramir, letting it go. I am not their match either, Aragorn says quietly, yet they have done what I could not. He steps forward. The ring blazes on his hand, a singular sun. He does not try to overpower Sauron. That would be like throwing a cup of water against a volcano. Instead, he reaches sideways into the bonds that tie Sauron to his servants. The 9, once kings, now wraiths, jerk. What are you doing? Sauron snarls. His voice loses some of its smoothness. Aragorn focuses not on Sauron, but on them, on the rings they wear, lesser, bound, but still echoes of the one. He feels the fear in them, buried deep under centuries of obedience. He feels their ancient hunger to be seen, to be themselves again. You were kings, Aragorn says, sending the thought like a spear. You once ruled by your own names, in your own lands. He took that from you. He made you less than shadows. He does not offer partnership, he offers erasure. The Witch King screams. It is a sound torn from the gut of something that has not had a voice of its own in an age. The chain between him and Sauron glows white-hot. Remember, Aragorn urges, hurling memory like lightning, the taste of wine in your mortal mouth, the weight of your first crown, the feel of sunlight on skin, the Nazgul writhe. Sauron's attention splinters. You dare meddle with my servants? He roars. They are mine. Nothing is simply yours. Aragorn answers through clenched teeth. He grabs the chains, not physically, but in the strange, luminous geometry of this place, and pulls. The ring lends him leverage. It was designed to command the others. He is not of Sauron's spirit, but he carries Sauron's tool. For a heartbeat that stretches into an eternity, the will of a mortal king and the design of an ancient tyrant align. The chains crack. Not all, not fully. These bonds are too old, too entrenched, but they fissure. The Witch King reels, crown flickering. One by one, the Nazaruls forms jutta, slipping, their loyalty no longer an unbroken wall. They remain tied, but less tightly. A seed of doubt is planted. On the field below, the Nazgul wheel in the sky. They scream, movements jerky. Some veer off course. One plummets, its beast slamming into a distant slope. Another turns, for a moment, toward the east, as if considering flight. Sauron lashes out. His will descends upon Aragorn like a hammer. You have overstepped, he snarls. Pain explodes through Aragorn's being. He staggers in this unseen space, his luminous form dimming, lines of gold flickering. The volcano's heat presses against him from all sides. He feels his heart falter in his chest, though his physical body stands miles below. Blood runs from his nose in the waking world. His legs tremble, but he has done something Sauron did not expect. He has not tried to steal the throne. He has destabilized the servants. Why do you fight me? Sauron demands, voice full of genuine fury now. We could bring order to this chaos. We could extinguish the petty fires of lesser lords. You could save them from themselves. Aragorn thinks of Denethor, of Theoden under Saruman's spell, of Smeagol hunched over a ring at the bottom of the world. I will not save them from themselves by becoming something less human, Aragorn says. Sauron's form swells. You already have, he hisses. Light flares. The ring burns his hand. Aragorn screams. On the battlefield, men see their leader stagger. He clutches his chest, eyes rolled back, a sound of raw agony torn from his throat. Gandalf rushes to him. Legolas and Gimli seize his arms, holding him upright as he convulses. In Lorien, Arwen gasps and rises to her feet, hand to her heart. In Minas Tirith, Faramir grips the arms of the steward's chair until his knuckles whiten, feeling a pressure in his skull like a storm. On the slopes of Mount Doom, Frodo collapses, curling in on himself, Sam's arms around him, both of them knowing something is breaking somewhere out of sight. In the unseen realm, Aragorn hangs in the grip of a will older than his race. "You cannot win," Sauron says, almost puzzled that this needs to be explained. "You are a moment, Aragorn, a brief flame. I am the fire that has burned since the world began. Yield. Let your story end in dignity. I will even let your city stand as a monument to your brief defiance." Aragorn looks at him. In that gaze he sees not just hatred, but something else, a twisted compassion. Sauron truly believes that his order is better than the world's pain. He is, in his own way, as driven by pity as Aragorn. Pity twisted into control. "I do not fight to win," Aragorn says through his pain. "I fight to delay." "Delay what?" Sauron snarls. Others, far away, in a crack in the stones of Mordor, Gollum emerges. He squints at the sky. He feels the ring blazing somewhere above, not far, a beacon calling and denying. His claws dig into the ash. He licks his lips. "Now, precious," he whispers. "Now, while they fight, we takes it back. We bites, we scratches, we—" A hand falls on his shoulder. He spins, hissing, teeth bared. Frodo Baggins stands behind him. He is thinner than the last time Gollum saw him, eyes deeper sunk, face all hollows and bone. Sam stands at his side, unexpectedly steady, one hand on a short sword, the other clutching the rock for support. "Smeagol," Frodo says softly. Gollum flinches. The name pierces. "No," he snarls. "No more tricksy names. You took it from us. You gave it to the man. He wears it. He hurts us." Frodo's gaze flicks skyward. He can sense it now more strongly, the ring blazing like a star in a storm. He can also feel Aragorn's anguish, faint and terrible, like an echo through the scar the ring left in him. "He is fighting it," Frodo says quietly. "He is fighting him," Sam corrects. "Both," Frodo murmurs. Gollum shakes, torn between fury and the lingering, poisoned affection he once felt for Master. "Doesn't matter," Gollum mutters. "We needs it. We get it. Then we is safe." "You will never be safe with it," Frodo says. His voice is gentler than it has any right to be. "Nor will I, nor will anyone," Gollum hisses, stepping back. "Why do you care?" he sneers. "You failed. You put it on. You claimed it. You are like him now, like the Tall One. You wants it too." Frodo's face crumples. "Yes," he says simply. "I do." Sam glances at him, pain in his eyes. "But I also know what it will do to him," Frodo continues, looking selfward, eastward, everywhere, to Strider, to all of them. "Smeagol, if he keeps it, Middle-earth will not belong to Sauron. It will belong to a different darkness, one that smiles and heals and never lets go." Gollum hesitates. He remembers gentleness, fingers stroking his hair, sharing food. He remembers betrayal too, ropes and harsh words. His mind is a broken mirror. "What can we do?" Sam asks, hope and desperation tangled. It's on his hand now, Hez in the middle of it. We're two half-starved hobbits and Gollum. Frodo looks at his own hand. The scar there throbs. "The ring has a nature," he says slowly. "It wants to be worn, it wants to be used. It is drawn to power, to those who can feed it most. It chose him because he can do what I couldn't. The admission costs him. But that also means..." Frodo trails off thinking, "It cannot abide being thwarted. It will not stay where its will is not done." Sam blinks. "Meaning what exactly? Meaning?" Frodo says, meeting Gollum's eyes. If someone stands close enough who wants it more purely than he does, someone whose whole being is bent on it, with no concern for anything else, it will try to go to them. Gollum's breath quickens. You wants us to take it, he whispers, disbelieving. You wants us to steal it. From the tall man, while he is fighting him. Yes, Frodo says. Sam stares. Mr. Frodo, he says slowly, are you out of your mind? I mean, begging your pardon, but we're talking about putting the ring back on Gollum's finger and hoping somehow that makes things better? Frodo's laugh is brittle. No, he says. We are talking about putting the ring on Gollum's finger for a moment. Just long enough. Long enough for what? Sam demands. Frodo looks east. For it to be where it belongs, he says, in the heart of the fire. Gollum freezes. Realization dawns. You wants us to die, he hisses. You wants us to burn with it. Frodo's eyes are full of tears. I want it to end, he whispers. Silence hangs. Gollum shakes, body racked with sobs that are almost silent. We hates you, he breathes. We hates you forever. I know, Frodo says. He steps closer. He holds out his hand. Smeargol, he whispers again. That name like an open door. You said once you would save us, that you wanted to be good. Gollum stares at that outstretched hand. In his mind, a war rages fiercer than any on the plains. Smeargol and Gollum, promise and hunger, the echo of a kind word and the roar of the precious call. In the unseen realm, Aragorn staggers under Sauron's blows. He hangs on by threads of duty and love. The ring on his hand blazes to the point of agony. He feels something subtle shift. A tug. The ring leans. Not away from Sauron, but away from him. It is minute, almost imperceptible, but he senses it. Attention flickering. Another will call in it with such purity of hunger that even his complex, conflicted desires seem diluted by comparison. What is this? Sauron snarls, feeling it too. What gnats interfere now? Aragorn grins through the blood in his mouth. Hobbits, he whispers. On the rocks below them, Gollum's hand closes slowly, shaking around Frodo's. His grip is cold and clammy. Tricks, he mutters. Always tricks. No more tricks, Frodo says. No more promises. Only this. You wanted it. You chased it. You suffered for it. If anyone has earned the right to end it, it's you. Sam watches, horrified. Frodo turns to him. Sam, he says, voice breaking, if we do nothing, Aragorn will become something else. He will win, maybe. We will all live under a safe sky, and we will have given Middle-earth to the ring in a different way. Can you bear that? Sam stares at him. He thinks of Rosie, of the Shire, of children running across the party field, of a future where they are safe, but where something behind their safety watches, always unseen. No, Sam whispers. He swallows hard. What do we do? Frodo looks to the mountain. We climb, he says. Gollum hisses. Climb, yes, he mutters. Climb to our doom. He goes first. In the unseen realm, the ring strains, Sauron's grip tightens. You will not take it, he snarls at Aragorn. You will not cast it away. I have anchored it in my forge, in the mountain's fire, in my own being. It is mine. You are a child playing with knives. Aragorn focuses. He feels the ring pulled. It is like holding a horse that scents freedom, rearing beneath him. He could let go. It would fly from his hand, not physically perhaps, but in essence. Some part of it would tear free, answering that other call. He can also clamp down, keep it, claim it fully. He hesitates. This, more than anything, reveals him. The order he dreams of requires the ring. The protection he wants to give his people depends on it. Without it, he is once again a man with a sword and a claim, facing an immortal will. Yet he sees Arwen's face, he sees Gondor's future as Galadriel glimpsed a shadow of it, a city bright and sterile, joy carefully measured, choices hemmed in by invisible lines, no plagues, no famine, no wild songs either, no true risk, no true courage, a world in which his love never dies, a world in which no one truly lives. He opens his hand, the ring wrenches, pain sears his soul, the tearing of a bond not fully formed, but deeply sunk. It slashes through him like a whip. He gasps, knees buckling in the visible world. Legolas and Gimli hold him up, shouting something he cannot hear. In the unseen realm, Sauron roars. "What have you done?" Sauron bellows, voice cracking with genuine alarm. "I have remembered who I am," Aragorn whispers. He lets the ring choose. It does. It leaps. Not off his finger, not yet, but in essence. It sends a surge of its being along the line of that desperate, all-consuming call, Gollum climbing, every fiber of him screaming with want and fear. On the mountainside, Gollum staggers. He clutches the rock with one hand, the air with the other. He feels it. "Oh," he moans, "oh, precious." It comes back. Sam and Frodo cling to the same cliff. They feel a shift in the air, a pressure in their ears. "Is it working?" Sam gasps. Frodo watches Gollum. The creature's eyes have gone almost entirely black. His pupils are pits. His breath comes in ragged, ecstatic gasps. "Don't stop," Frodo says. "Don't worry," Gollum hisses, half-laughing. "We won't." In Barad-dûr, Sauron grasps at a slipping tether. He cannot believe what is happening. The ring, which has always been an extension of his own will, is moving outside his control. Not entirely. Its core remains bound to him, but a part of it is tearing away, answering a call he did not account for, the pure, mad hunger of a creature who wants nothing else. "How?" he snarls. "How is this possible?" Aragorn, panting, sways. "Perhaps you should not have toyed with hearts," he says weakly. "You do not understand obsession. That is not your own." Sauron strikes him again. The blow hurls Aragorn backward in the unseen space. His vision goes white. In the waking world, he falls. Gandalf catches him. The wizard feels the ring's presence dim on Aragorn's hand, but not vanish. It is as if a great arm has been cut from a body, leaving the stump bleeding and enraged. On the mountain, Gollum reaches a ledge. He collapses onto it, clawing at the air, laughing and sobbing. "It's coming," he chokes. He feels it. Closer, closer. Frodo hauls, himself up beside him, Sam behind. They can see the mouth of Sammath Naur now. The cracks of doom, a jagged wound venting red light. Heat washes over them, scorching their faces. The air is a furnace, sucking breath from their lungs. Sam coughs. "Mr. Frodo?" He wheezes. "Well, roast just getting near it." Frodo nods, eyes watering. "Smeagol," he gasps, clutching Gollum's arm. "Listen, when you feel it, you have to jump." Gollum stares at him. The concept is absurd. "Jump?" he croaks. "Into the fire?" "Yes," Frodo says. Sam's eyes widen. "Frodo." "Into the fire," Frodo repeats. "With it. That's the only way. If you try to hold it, it will hold you. It will drag you back to him. You have to want to end it more than you want to have it." Gollum trembles. He looks at the glowing mouth of the mountain. He looks at his awful shaking hands. "We can't," he whispers. "We wants it. We wants it so much." Frodo's tears evaporate in the heat. "I know," he says, "but I also know this. You loved something once. Fish, perhaps. The feel of the river. Your cousin. Your name. There is a part of you that was not always this. Reach for that, Smeagol. Let that part jump, not the part that craves." Gollum's mouth opens and closes. Words fail him. Deep within, The ring surges, the essence that tore from Aragorn hurtles through the unseen world like a shard of light. It rockets along the thin, desperate line of Gollum's craving, homing in on that unique pattern of desire. It finds him. Gollum arches like he has been lit from within. His body lifts off the rock. Sam and Frodo scramble back, shielding their faces. Gollum's screams are a song of ecstasy and agony, blended into one unbearable note. The ring appears, not from nowhere, but by a twisting of space. One moment on Aragorn's finger, the next also hanging in the air above Gollum's outstretched hand. For a fleeting instant, it is in two places, reality straining. Sauron's will shrieking protest. Then it chooses. It vanishes from Aragorn's hand. It lands in Gollum's. The creature clutches it to his chest, sobbing. "We has it," he whimpers. "We has it at last." On the field below Barad-dûr, men and orcs alike feel a wave of something pass through them, a lurch, a nausea, as if some background hum they had never consciously noticed has shifted key. Aragorn gasps, his hand suddenly light. He feels both emptiness and relief, so sharp it is almost pain. Sauron howls. His voice shakes the unseen halls of his tower. No! He reaches. He throws his will like a net, seeking Gollum, seeking the little shape in whom his heart now resides. He pulls. Gollum totters on the ledge near the cracks of doom. He hears that call. It is irresistible. The ring on his hand blazes. Visions sear his mind, himself, not as a wretched creature hiding in caves, but as a king in gold, his enemies groveling. Rivers full of fish that leap into his hands. Endless, obscene feasts. Hordes of orcs calling him master. The hobbits kneeling, begging for forgiveness. He laughs, wild and broken. "We could be great," he whispers. "We could be Lord Smeagol. Yes, precious, yes, we could. No more hiding, no more." Frodo staggers toward him. "Smeagol!" he shouts over the roar of the fire. "You promised!" "Promises!" they echo. In the dark corners of Gollum's mind, something stirs. A memory. Standing in a cold stream under the moon, feeling fish brush against his ankles. His grandmother calling his name, laughter that has nothing to do with cruelty. He looks at Frodo. He sees not a thief, not a rival, but another creature broken by the same gold. He sees Sam, grim and stubborn, who could have killed him many times and did not. He sees, for the briefest instant, himself reflected in their eyes. Not monster, victim. He sobs. "Tricksy hobbitses," he mutters. Then, softly, with a voice that sounds almost young, Smeagol promised. He turns. He faces the fire. The ring shrieks in his blood. Sauron's will claws at his spine, trying to jerk him back. Every instinct screams to flee, to clutch the precious and run, to hide for 100 years and pet it and love it. He steps forward. Sam's hand flies to his mouth. Frodo reaches out as if to stop him, and then stops halfway, realizing that to stop him would be to doom them all. Gollum jumps. For a heartbeat, he hangs in the scorching air, a ragged silhouette against the red glow, hand clutching the ring to his chest. Then he falls. The fire takes him. The scream that rises from the heart of Mount Doom is not just his. It is a chorus of 1,000,000 lost chances, of might-have-beens and cruel designs. It is Sauron's roar of denial, the ring's last exultant cry, and its first true fear. The mountain erupts. The world shakes. On the plains before Barad-dûr, the ground lurches, cracks race through the ash, belching flame. Trolls topple, orcs shriek, flailing, men stagger, trying to keep their footing as the world bucks beneath them. Aragorn drops to his knees. He feels the tether snap. The absence is indescribable, not the ache Frodo knew. Aragorn never carried the ring so long as that, but a sudden vanishing of a constant pressure. It is as if the air has been let out of a room he did not know was overfilled. He gasps once, twice, lungs burning with something that is not heat. In the unseen realm, Sauron's form flickers. The towering figure of shadow and ember flickers like a candle in a costly draught. No, he snarls. He reaches for the ring. He finds nothing. The bond that has sustained him for an age is gone. His power does not evaporate instantly. He is too old, too rooted in the world for that. But it is as if a spine has been pulled from his back. He collapses inward, will folding in on itself, no longer able to lash outward with the same terrible force. On the tower's heights, the eye extinguishes. Barada shudders, stone cracks. Massive chunks of masonry shear away and plummet, smashing into the ground with impacts that shake the plain. The tower's central spine folds, breaks, begins to fall. Orcs scream. Some throw themselves flat. Others run, trampled by their own. Comrades! The armies of Mordor dissolve into chaos, their cohesion gone with the will that bound them. Gandalf drags Aragorn to his feet. Up! The wizard gasps. Up, Aragorn! It is ending. Aragorn stares as Barad-dûr collapses. The sight is surreal. He had imagined this moment 1,000 ways. In dreams, in tales, in childhood stories, he had expected to feel triumph gleaming like the sun. Instead, he feels hollow. He knows what it took. Gollum falling. Frodo broken but untainted by the final act, his own near seduction. What have I done? Aragorn whispers. Gandalf grips his shoulder. What you alone could do, the wizard says. What none of us foresaw. The Nazgûl, robbed of their anchor, wail. Their black forms burn, unravel, fade. The Witch King's crown spins in the air one last time, then dissolves into motes of darkness that the wind carries away. The men of the West look around, dazed. Orcs flee in every direction. Some drop their weapons and cower. The earth continues to shake, but with each passing moment, the tremors lessen. A victory? Gimli pants, incredulous. A reprieve, Legolas murmurs. In the heart of the mountain, Frodo and Sam lie on a ledge, watching the fire roar. The heat is unbearable, but for the moment they are spared its direct touch by some quirk of the rock's formation. Rocks fall around them, smoke chokes them. The air tastes of brimstone and finality. It's done, Sam whispers. Frodo stares at the flames. He feels nothing. Not the lifting of a burden, not the exaltation of success. Just emptiness, like a house after the furniture is taken away. It's done, he echoes. He is not sure if he believes it. Gollum is gone. No body remains, no echo of his last thought. Sam's eyes fill with tears. That poor, wretched creature, he says softly. He saved us all in the end. Frodo's vision blurs. Sam, he says, voice shaking, hold my hand. Sam does. The mountain begins to collapse. Above them, the sky over Mordor clears, revealing not blue, yet but a paler gray. Men watch as the ash cloud parts. For the first time in living memory, a faint light breaks through over that cursed land. It is not full sunlight, it is filtered and weak. But it is different. It is possibility. The armies of the West do not cheer at first. They are too tired, too shocked. Then someone raises a sword. To Frodo, a voice calls, though the speaker has no idea if the hobbit lives. To the ring-bearer, cries another. To the king, someone shouts. Aragorn flinches at that. Gandalf looks at him sidewise. The ring is gone, the wizard says quietly. Sauron is broken. Your choices yet ahead of you will not be gilded by gold. They will be yours alone. Aragorn nods. His hand feels naked without the ring's weight. His heart feels lighter and heavier at once. He has glimpsed what he might have done, what he was almost willing to do. He will never quite forgive himself for how close he came. In the weeks that follow, Mordor changes, not quickly, not dramatically. The land is still scarred, the air still foul, but without Sauron's will pressing down upon it, some of the more unnatural poisons seep away. Rains fall that are not laden with ash. Tiny stubborn plants sprout in sheltered crevices. Aragorn leads the host of the West back out. They carry Frodo and Sam with them, pale and unconscious, rescued from the ruin by eagles summoned not by a wizard's plan, but by their own old wisdom, to swoop in when the storm is over and pluck from it what might yet be saved. The hobbits' faces are thin. Frodo's hand still bears the scar. Sometimes, in his sleep, he reaches for something that is no longer there. Sam holds his friend's hand as they ride, tears drying on his cheeks, eyes fixed on the horizon where he imagines the Shire lies, green and distant. New songs begin among the men. They sing of the ring-bearer, of Sméagol the pitiful, who jumped into fire, of Aragorn, who faced the Dark Lord on his own ground and let go of power when he could have seized it. They do not know all the truth. How could they? They did not stand in that unseen hall. They did not feel the pull of order, the seduction of a neat and controllable world. Aragorn knows. The knowledge sits in him like a quiet stone. When they emerge from the black lands, the sight of Ithilion's first trees makes some men weep open-mouthed. The colors, greens and browns and blues, feel too bright after so much gray. Minas Tirith looms ahead. The city is battered. Its lower wall lies in rubble. The white banner of the stewards flutters limply, yet lights shine in its windows. People line the walls waving, crying out as the returning host appears. Faramir stands at the gate. He looks thinner too, but his eyes are clear. He bows as Aragorn approaches, kneeling on the scorched stones. "My lord," he says. Aragorn dismounts. He looks at the city, then at Faramir. "Rise, steward of Gondor," he says. Faramir rises. "Do you claim the crown?" Faramir asks, voice steady but soft. Aragorn hesitates. He thinks of the part of him that, not long ago, meant to claim more than that. He thinks of the shining, fixed city he saw in the ring's visions. He thinks of the web. "I accept what my people grant," Aragorn says at last. "No more, no less." It is not an answer. Some politically minded counselors might approve. It is, however, the only one he can live with. They crown him in the court of the fountain. It is a bright day, the white trees still dead but standing. The wind carries the scent of summer. Flowers line the path. People pack every balcony, craning for a glimpse. Aragorn kneels. Gandalf places the crown upon his head. It is heavy, not with power, with responsibility. In that moment, with the weight of stone and steel upon his brow, Aragorn feels a phantom echo of another weight, a circle of gold that might have turned this day into something else entirely. He shivers. Beside him, Arwen appears. She has chosen. She walks through the crowd like a living star, her dark hair flowing, her eyes shining with both joy and unspoken sorrow, the immortal accepting mortality. She lays her hand in his. Together, they face the city. "Behold the king!" Voices cry. "Behold the queen!" Their reign begins under sunlight, not shadow, yet the shadow's memory colors everything. Aragorn rules with a gentleness that surprises some. He does not seize land aggressively. He does not impose laws without counsel. He bends over maps, not to plot conquests, but to figure out how best to feed a hungry village in a hard winter. He visits the houses of healing more often than the council chamber. He also dreams. At night, in the high chambers of the Tower of Ithilien, he dreams of a golden ring, of a world where he did not let go. In those dreams, Gondor is impossibly beautiful. No crime goes unpunished, no injustice endures. The poor are cared for, the sick healed by a wave of the hand. The borders are secure. No enemy dares raise a hand against them, knowing that the king will see, will know, will move. Arwen never fades. Their children grow without fear. It is seductive. It is suffocating. He wakes every time with tears on his face. Arwen holds him through those nights. "You did not choose that road," she reminds him. "I walked too far along it," he says. He does not tell her that sometimes, in the depths of those dreams, he feels a presence watching him with approval. A dark lord pleased to see his design fulfilled, even under another's hand. He knows that in some other turning of the world, Galadriel's vision in the mirror came true. In this one, it did not, but the mark remains. In the Shire, years later, children play. They run across green fields. They throw apple cores at each other, roll down hills, splash in the water. On summer evenings, they cluster around the green dragon, listening to an old hobbit with faded eyes tell stories of distant lands. Frodo Baggins' voice is soft. He speaks of Mordor as if it were both yesterday and 1,000 years ago. He speaks of a king who took a ring and gave it up, of a creature named Sméagol who leapt into fire, of an eye that went out. He does not speak of the moment he offered Gollum that final terrible choice without telling anyone else. He carries that quietly, a private guilt mixed with gratitude. Sam Gamgee, now mayor, watches him with concern. He knows his friend is not entirely here, not fully. Part of Frodo remains on that ledge, watching flames. Part of him walks forever through an unseen space where wills clash. "You did what you had to," Sam says when Frodo's nightmares become too loud. Frodo smiles sadly. "So did Aragorn," he says. "He did what I could not, and nearly did what you stopped yourself from doing," Sam replies pointedly. "That's what scares you." Frodo does not deny it. In Minas Tirith, Gandalf stands on a balcony looking east. He feels the world's new shape. Sauron is not entirely gone. He endures as a diminished presence, a shadow with no hand to wear. His malice lingers in the ruins of his works, in the whispered fears of those who were once his slaves. But without the ring, he cannot rise to open power again. Middle-earth has earned a breathing space. Gandalf will not be here to see its end. His time is drawing to a close. He thinks of Aragorn, of the moment the man opened his hand and let the ring go. He thinks of how close they all came to a gentler tyranny, to a Mordor of white stone and good intentions. He does not tell Aragorn everything he knows of that possible path. The burden of kingship is heavy enough. Instead, he sits with the king on quiet evenings and talks of gardening and fireworks and hobbits. "Will they be all right?" Aragorn asks once, looking toward the vague direction of the Shire. Gandalf smiles. For a while, he says, "They will heal, they will forget." "That is their gift. And ours?" Aragorn asks. Gandalf's gaze is kind and sad. "To remember," he says, "and to choose differently the next time such a choice comes." In the Far East, beyond the Sea of Rhûn, rumors spread. They speak of a land called Gondor, where a king rules kindly but firmly. They speak of a darkness that once threatened to roll across the world, halted at great cost. They speak of a ring of power thrown into fire by a creature who could not bear to be what he had become. They do not speak yet of the seeds that remain, of men who saw Aragorn stand against Sauron and contemplate in the secret chambers of their hearts what they would have done with such a ring. Power leaves footprints. In Dol Amroth, A young prince studies tales of the War of the Ring and wonders. In Umbar, a corsair captain spits when he hears the name Elisar and dreams of a way to bend the world to his own order. In Rohan, Eomer grows older, rides less, listens more. He teaches his children to value choice over safety. Time moves. The Fourth Age begins under a sky that is, for the first time in many human lifetimes, clear. The darkness is not banished. It has changed shape. It lives now not in a single eye, blazing from a tower, but in the quiet rooms where leaders consider what they might do if they did not have to answer to anyone. It lives in the part of every heart that looks at chaos and longs for just a moment to lock everything into place. Gondor does not become Mordor, not in stone, not in banners. Its streets are bright, its people laugh, its markets bustle. The white tree blooms again, a symbol of hope reborn. Children play under its branches without knowing how close their city came to being a cage. But in the highest tower, in the quiet hours of the night, a king sometimes stands alone by a window, looking east. He remembers the feel of the ring on his finger. He remembers the taste of power offered for the sake of love. He remembers letting go. His hand, empty now, still curls sometimes as if around a phantom band of gold. He opens it slowly every time. The wind from the mountains is cool. It smells of stone and old snow and the faintest hint of the sea far to the west. Aragorn Elisar, king of Gondor and Arnor, breathes that wind and closes his eyes, grateful beyond words that when he reaches for his throat, there is nothing there but the pulse of his own heart, stubborn and mortal and fallible. The ring is gone. The choice it offered is not. And somewhere deep under Mount Doom, in rock turned to glass by unimaginable heat, a tiny circle of gold lies in shattered pieces, silent forever. Yet in the minds of men, its whisper lingers, soft as breath in the dark.